Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside Voices First Takes. I am still your host, Adam Rubin, and with me as always
is Colin Binnig.
He is indeed. And today we are going to be talking about Transformers The Last Night, or Transformers 5, or Transformers 5 The Last Night.
No.
Colin, thoughts?
Not the last one. Not the last option. Nope. No.
Thoughts, Colin? What did you think of the movie?
Okay, well, disclaimer for all of you who don't know my taste in movies really well.
And if you don't, please do watch the back catalog.
I'm a general fan of this franchise. The first movie, I will argue, is a perfect movie for what it was trying to be and what it was.
A perfect movie.
The first movie. The first Transformers is a perfect movie as a Transformers movie. Yes. It's perfect for what it is and what it does and what it achieves. Perfect.
Oh God. All right.
2, 3, and 4, not as good. We can all agree on that.
We certainly can all agree on that.
But I don't dislike them as most of the public does. 2, 3, and 4.
No, you basically enjoy all of them.
I do think they're still at least watchable, all of them. And now we get to part 5, which we've just seen.
The Last Night.
The Last Night. I had trouble in terms of ranking it in the franchise where I would put it, but I think it's better than 4. I think I'd rate it ahead of Age of Extinction, the other one with Mark Wahlberg. Mm-hmm. Just because Age of Extinction did not have a second and third act. It just combined it into, one giant act, and it didn't work.
So you're citing structural issues with the fourth movie.
Very much in the latter half, yes. Whereas this one did have a third act and a second act and a first act. The third act kind of went a little long, but I could still...
A little long, Colin? This was a 2.5-hour movie, and I feel like they cut half the movie out of it.
Long?
Oh, my God.
It's the second shortest movie in the franchise. So for us, maybe it felt long, but it's still the second shortest.
It certainly did feel long. Oh, my goodness.
And it puzzled me how similar, in terms of like the end goal plot was in this movie, was with part 3. You notice how similar the plot is for this movie and part 3, where they're bringing Cybertron to Earth, and then I'm watching this movie, I'm like, oh, they're doing it again.
Yeah, but this time this time instead of being like a heavenly father, it's like a heavenly mother. So it's a new movie, Colin. It's a whole new movie.
I don't know if I would call her heavenly, but I mean, okay, instead of a space,
she calls herself a god, so whatever you want to call it.
So we're not teleporting the planet here. We're just gonna have it actually come out here. It just took a while, but it came out here, so we didn't have to wait
3 days.
Long.
It's not that long. It's 3 days.
I guess that planet really knows how to move when it needs to.
Hence the speed of light. They were very explicit about it at JPL.
That's true. That's true. You know what? Are you happy with that physics guy in the third act? Where you're basically like, I want to use physics to explain all of this. I thought that's you. This is Adam in the movie.
Thank you very much for. You know what? If I was going to be anybody in this movie, that is definitely the guy I would be. I grant you that for sure. For sure, the JPL guy. Yeah.
Adam Rubin is in a Michael Bay movie, everybody. Go see it, just for that reason.
Absolutely. Not his character from Veep. But I'll definitely take his character from this movie for sure.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
But okay, so just first impression, I think it's, and people who have been clamoring for this, so I hope that they like it just for this reason enough. It is by far the most transformy movie of all 5. Can we agree on that? It is so like mythology dense in terms of what's happening, what the illusions are, how it even kind of, winks at the other movies, whether it be like the pyramids being destroyed, like in part 2, or when in the moon and it crashes into the old ship in part 3. I appreciate that. Like, okay, we're actually taking the time to acknowledge what has come before, but we're also just getting so much more info about how long they've been here and what Earth actually is. That was the greatest thing, by the way. what Earth is. If you know anything about the Transformers mythology in general, from the cartoon or from the toy line, this is big. This is a huge deviation, which I actually quite enjoyed because it's kind of its own thing, and yet it pays homage to the most classic villain in all of the fandom, Ultron. No, sorry.
Wrong franchise, Colin.
I'm sorry.
Reset. We broke Colin. Sorry, guys. He needs to reboot.
I meant Unicron.
Oh, Unicron. Yes. Unicron. Good. That's right. Welcome back to this universe.
Oh boy. Oh, I'm sorry. My mind went elsewhere.
The little pinwheel was spinning on his face while he thought of that.
Listen, I got too many movies on my brain. So, for that reason alone, it's worth a see. I also saw it in IMAX 3D, and it is beautiful in IMAX 3D. Looks great. The IMAX is great. The 3D is fantastic. So, if you're not a fan of the franchise, this movie isn't going to change your mind. But if you are a fan, if you want to see something a little more Transformers-based, a lot more of the robots have screen time. A lot more of them, interact and talk and engage in the action scenes. And if you want to see it like that, must see it in IMAX 3D for sure. That's the way to see it. What about you? What do you think?
Well, I also saw it in 3D, not IMAX 3D, but XD 3D. So I did see it on an extra large screen.
Okay.
I will say that the 3D was very accurate since pretty much the whole movie is CGI. So there's very few live elements to get in the way of the stereoscopic rendering. And I'd say that Michael Bay did it again. I don't know how he did it, but he did it again. He made an even worse Transformers movie. And I didn't really think that was possible after the last one. I swear, I didn't. I would like to say that if you're a fan of the Transformers franchise, seek medical attention immediately. Maybe check yourself into a psych ward for a couple days. Just get checked out.
You're talking to me. I do not need medical help.
You are a perfect example.
Careful. You be careful.
Get yourself checked. You're high function, but get yourself checked. Oh my goodness. This is the first of all, I mean, let me just not keep you in suspense. Don't see it. Don't do it to yourself. Why would you sit through this? But it's the first movie in a long time where I actually, 2 minutes into the movie, I had to get out of my seat and go back 4 or 5 rows and sit back down because the cutting was so fast and the shots were so tight and there was so much movement in every shot that there were actually segments of the film where the shots were so fast and so tight and so flashy, my brain couldn't register content on the screen. That's how crazy this movie was. I mean, so first of all, sit a little further back. That will help a lot. But things that should obviously be static shots are in, out, side, swooping up, swooping down, craning around for no reason. No reason at all, even by Michael Bay standards. Absolutely no reason. Although I did think, I have to say, just on a quick Michael Bay note, I did think that the way he was able to get explosions into the Dark Ages, pretty clever. That was the one moment I was actually like, okay, good for you, Michael Bay. You figured out a way to get your thing in. Okay.
I didn't have a problem with the editing. I saw it in IMAX 3D. So if I was gonna have a problem, it would have registered doubly much more for me. No, I was fine. The opening you're talking about, I think, so quite wrong.
He can't hold a shot for more than 1/10 of a second in this whole movie.
That's not necessarily true. Near the third act, there are some long panning shots when the ships are flying all throughout the Cybertron debris falling. There are some shots. So that's not true.
Barely.
I'm not saying there's many of them, but it exists.
Listen, the longest shot in the whole movie, where he actually tried to hold a shot because he was too embarrassed to cut away, is when Anthony Hopkins is delivering lines. And it's important, and it's just him and Mark Wahlberg, and you can see it's a close-up on his face, and obviously the first rule of filmmaking is, if Anthony Hopkins is talking, show me his face and just leave it on him so he can deliver your terrible, terrible lines with absolutely unearned gravitas and dramatic tension. And even then, lock off the camera, show me his face. And even then, Michael Bay the camera was literally twitching. It was twitching. He wanted to move the camera so badly and cut away. It was unbelievable. The man has ADD.
Let us be the first to claim that we will always remember Transformers: The Last Night as the movie where Anthony Hopkins said, "That is a bitchin' car."
Yeah. I don't understand why Anthony Hopkins. I guess Anthony Hopkins just needed to eat this week, so he decided to be in this.
In the words of Aaron Eckhart's character from Thank You for Smoking, everyone's got a mortgage to pay.
That's right. Anthony Hopkins did an absolutely fantastic job of doing his best to elevate this horrible movie to the level of a movie. He did not succeed, but he really valiantly tried, much like his character in this film. And much like his character in this film, it was a totally impotent move that mounted to nothing and was done only for fan service. What was his character doing? He just walks into the field by himself and shoots Megatron in the face with his cane when there's an army with tanks right behind him. Like, let them take the shot. What are you doing? And then he just stood there.
No sacrifice without victory, as they keep saying. You know this.
No. No victory without sacrifice.
Yes.
Your way is
reverse it. That's what I meant. Yes.
Get yourself checked, Colin.
Right. No sacrifice, no victory. That's the phrase.
Right.
There we go.
That's right.
No, I mean,
pretty worthless sacrifice, though. Let's be honest. And then Cogsworth is just out of the movie. Then he's just gone for it. We don't ever hear from him again.
That's a different franchise altogether.
Whatever Clockface McButler head his name is. I don't know what his name is.
He was actually my favorite new addition. Him and Hot Rod. They actually built. I love Hot Rod having a French accent and him complaining not being able to lose it. I thought really funny. And then the butler, who is both very polite and then oftentimes a psychopath.
He prefers the term sociopath.
Sociopath. That was an interesting characteristic, but it made him more memorable, and it was kind of a charming character, especially that he was there to comfort Anthony Hopkins at his last moment. I appreciated that.
Comfort seems pretty strong.
I mean, you know,
seems like a pretty strong word for his comforting words being, "This is the hardest part of my job, watching you all die."
Yeah, I mean, he's not the most fluent character, but just being there was enough. Like the dog from Lost. He was there for Jack when Jack died.
And then he was just going out of the movie.
Lost fans, sorry. So I know you don't like it, but I'd like to point out a couple things I did like, and compared to other Transformers movies that Michael Bay often makes mistakes over.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I think the level of stupid juvenile humor was decreased in this one.
Careful. Careful.
What?
I mean, a little bit. It's decreased a little bit.
But I thought it was enough that I saw like, I haven't winced as much in this movie as I have in other ones. And sometimes I do that.
John Turturro did not get pissed on, nor was he standing under any robotic testicles, so I'll give you that. It's a pretty low bar to clear.
He mentioned the word scrotum a couple times, though, so there you go.
He did get to say goat scrotum several times, so yeah. I don't know how much of a step in the right direction this movie was, but he didn't get literally pissed on, so there's that.
And I also think, it's still a low bar, but I think the Vivian character is the strongest female character in these movies.
Oh, do you, Colin? The British Megan Fox you find to be the strongest? I mean, her acting is definitely the strongest.
Well, I'm saying her acting, and also, she it's like, as much as Mark Wahlberg is supposed to be like the hero, no, Vivian's the one who has to actually save the day. It's not Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg can just wield a sword out of his new arm bracelet friend.
His bicep jewelry?
Bicep friend. That's not going to help save the world. So it's really up to her.
Well, it did. In Mark Wahlberg's defense, his bicep sword did help save the world.
It helped save Optimus's life. That not really the same thing.
Optimus was definitely real crucial in saving the world. So
he was critical, yes, but remember it was Bumblebee who killed, or not killed, but got rid of what's her name? Quisenza?
I don't know. I don't even know what her name was, Colin. If it was possible to spoil this movie, that would be a spoiler. It's not possible to spoil this movie because this movie makes no sense from top to bottom. Bumblebee fought the Nazis, forgot about it, had a different name, needs to be reminded of it, and then shoots this. Like, Optimus Prime is powerless against her. She can stop him in his tracks, and then Bumblebee just shoots her once, and she's evaporates. Like, what is that? What kind of a stupid thing is that? It's nuts.
More than any other Transformers movie in this franchise, this movie is a conundrum because it is both. It is both. A very dumb movie, like most of these movies are.
Oh, yes, but dumber than the rest.
But it is also so like what's the word I'm looking for? Complicated. Like it's so complicated in terms of its mythology and trying to explain how whatever's happening is happening.
Yeah.
But yet it's also such a dumb movie. I don't know how it can be both. It's such a great balance act.
It's not a great balance act. It's convoluted is what it is. They just
Thank you.
things into it, hoping that it would coalesce into some kind of a movie through the sheer weight of its own gravity. And it didn't. It was a random series of nonsense images. Everything was completely unmotivated. The lines that the characters say make it obvious that they cut giant swaths of things that were supposed to help the continuity. They just cut it out of the movie. And it was still 2.5 hours long? That's crazy. Also, where was the little girl? And the trailers made it seem like the whole movie was going to be about her. She's barely in the thing. So I assume they cut the rest of her stuff out.
Well, I mean, her character went back to South Dakota, so she wasn't part of any of the England stuff until the third act. Okay, whatever. I can. That's fine. Whatever. That did not distract me from. Oh, she's not in the movie that much. I mean,
I'm just saying. Mini Fox, Mini Megan.
Adult Megan.
Huh?
Oh, you're talking about the girl. Okay, never mind.
So the 14-year-old girl, Mini Megan. They found a little ethnic Megan, and then they had UK Megan. And both of them are just sort of thrown in there, just like thrown against the wall, see what sticks. Here's a little bit of character for you, but it's not really ever relevant what their character is. They're just in there.
I disagree about.
We're still falling into the stereotypes. I mean, at least this is not as bad as the third Transformers, where the girl is literally a dog. In Michael Bay's eyes, but this is still not great. This is still she needs a man, and she's too busy for a man. And Mark Wahlberg's all muscly.
She doesn't. Her family thinks she does, but she doesn't.
And what does she totally though do? She absolutely goes for that exact thing. And she's the one who's like, accidentally I said the word date in this World War II submarine with no context and no pacing.
She chose to kiss him. She chose to maybe want to have a date in the future. That does not lessen her in terms of her independence in her agency. It does not.
It doesn't lessen her in terms of her independence and agency, but it is a stereotype that she falls right into.
I think the Vivian character. I think the Vivian character was quite a strong, at least a step forward, if not a leap forward, for the female representation in these movies.
It was a very short step forward.
And I mean, what else was I gonna say?
No pacing. This movie is badly paced. Yeah.
The end of 4 had me really hopeful about what 5 was gonna be. Regarding, I thought they were gonna bring in Ultron and Primus because they're the creators of Transformers, and so I'm a little aggravated by this film's ending because not only did we only just tease Ultron, but everyone going to this movie should know this is Michael Bay's last Transformers movie. He is not doing any more like this. And the movie is still so cliffhangery. It doesn't resolve.
Nothing happened.
Cybertron and Earth are now a combined unit, and Ultron is still coming out of the ground slowly, and Quintessa is going to help the humans maybe defeat him now. Like, they threw so many balls up in the air.
They really did.
Good luck catching them all. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing 6 if they actually do it, but I'm like, holy crap, you just set up so much stuff. And Michael Bay's like, someone else take care of it. I'm done.
Well, and at least there's that, because he clearly was never going to take care of it. And as long as it keeps making money in China, they're going to keep pumping these things out. But this currently, just so you know, your favorite metric, Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 17 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know it does.
And for me, it deserves that. I think
I'd rate it either 3rd or 4th in this franchise out of 5.
Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Inside Voices First Takes, as we've just sat through Transformers the last night so that you don't have to. If you've enjoyed this content and you feel we have spared you from seeing the movie, do please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of these in the future, subscribe. And if not, or if so, either way, please do leave us a comment. Do you like the Transformers movies? Are you with Colin? Was this okay? Leave us a comment. It really helps us on YouTube. Thanks again for joining us for Inside Voices First Takes, and please do come back next week when Colin and I will be discussing our first takes on Baby Driver. We'll see you then.